Good morning, good evening, good afternoon, depending on your time zone. So what we wanted to do in this webinar is talk about the upcoming season 2023. We'll talk about some important dates, some milestones, how do you want to prepare for the season, and also answer some of the questions we have received on Telegram and the Facebook group. The broad theme is going to be how this season is different from the previous couple of seasons and what all can you do to be successful. So a couple of assumptions to get started. The assumptions are that COVID will continue to go down and you can expect the IRAS application date, the first date that the programs will review the application, to be September 15. So that's the basic assumption. So let me go over some of the expected dates that you will see in the season. So some kind of a timeline, assuming that, again, COVID continues to go down. So if this is close to a normal season, what you will see is the IRAS token will open up for purchase through ECFMG around first week of June, so possibly around June 8th or 9th. So that's the first date you have to be aware of for those of you applying for 2023 season. If, again, we go back to the pre-COVID normal seasons, then the applicants were able to submit their applications to the program on September 1st through the IRAS system. And if the COVID situation does not deteriorate, you would expect it to be September 1st or around about that. September 15th, programs should begin to review applications and the MSPE that you have submitted. It's a very important date, the first day of the season. That's when the programs start. Now, last year, for many of you who may remember, this was September 29th. Year before that, that was October 21st. But the assumption is we'll quickly get back to normal. So it'll be September 15th. Then for those of you who are still not certified, the pathway application, etc., should be around December 15th. That should be the deadline for pathway submission application. Then when we go into the match, the Nrmp match, the first deadline, early deadline without late fee, should be around January 31st of 2023. The rank order list deadline for Nrmp, that should be around March 2nd or 3rd, so very early in the March. What will not change is the match week. So match week should be starting March 13th. This is the Monday when all of you will know whether you matched or not. For those of you who are partially matched or unmatched, there will be something called SOAP, so a supplementary offer and accept program that will run from March 13 to 17 next year. And then March 18th will be the match day. That's when you will know where you actually matched. July 1st, 2023 will be the residency training begin date. So that's the one part I wanted to cover in terms of just the timeline. Now, in terms of the suggestions, high-level suggestions, what you should do when, before we get into how the season will be different. So, if you are looking to search the programs, and we have a separate list for Sarthi students, that should begin in June. The program search takes time. You can use Frida, you can use Residency Explorer, and we'll have a separate video on that. You can also use the Sarthi list if you're a Sarthi student, very customized for you. So that you should start in June. The IRAS CV and personal statement, hopefully you're all able to start in July. Again, our students will have a separate timeline for them to review, edit the IRAS statement. If you are applying for ECFMG certification, try to do it by August. That will put you on track to apply on time to the programs by September 15th. And again, those of you who are taking step 3 for H1b visa, December end would be an ideal time to finish it off. But we'll talk about if you have other constraints. Now, the big thing we want to talk about is how is this season going to be different? So some of the things continue over from the last season. For example, there is no CS, all of you know this, and you have to take OET to qualify for the match. That is the one change. OET is a requirement, OET step 2 CK, step 1, etc. Only then you will be certified, ECFMG certified. The passing score for OET writing has been decreased from 350 to 300. So something else you need to be aware of for those of you who are going to take OET. That was the other change. Obviously, many of you already know that the step 1 has become pass-fail starting January 26, 2022. So there will be an increasing emphasis on step 2 CK score for those of you who have taken step 1 pass-fail. Now, if you've already taken step 1 as a 3-digit score before January 26, your step 1 score, whether it's a 260 or a 210 or whatever it is, will be mentioned. So step 1 for you, if you've taken it as a 3-digit score, will be there. Otherwise, of course, there is an increasing emphasis on CK now. Then continuing with the CK, the other change, the pass score for CK has been increased from 209 to 214. You should be aware if you have still not taken CK. Coming to the travel restrictions and the visa issues and all that. So travel restrictions for most of the countries have been completely lifted. And those of you who have a visa, a valid visa, and are traveling from outside, you really need to pursue rotations, on-site rotations in the US, hands-on rotations. So as step 1 becomes more and more pass-fail and more emphasis on CK and other aspects. So rotations are going to be very important. On-site rotations are going to be important. Please plan to do on-site if you can. If you cannot, of course, if you don't have visa or there are, the consulate is not offering new visas, telerotations are an option. Please consider that. If you're already in the US, on-site will be the best way. In fact, we have also collaborated with Hackensack Palisades program, and you can see we are offering a combination of research and rotations if you are interested. So there are a lot more rotations. We have more than 100, just so that you are aware. But on-site rotations will become increasingly important in this season. Then step 3 is becoming important as well, especially if you are an older graduate, those with attempts, those with gaps. Many specialties are now exclusively asking for step 3, like psychiatry is expecting step 3. But step 3, regardless of the specialty, if you have red flags, will be something important for you to do as soon as you can, hopefully before the application, if you want to increase your interview count. So changes from that perspective are also coming in. Now, in terms of the application and eras and the certification, like I mentioned, previous 2 seasons, because of the COVID, the traditional deadline was moved ahead. So traditionally, the ERAS CVPS submission, all the application starts 1st September. Programs access it only on September 15th. We expect these deadlines this season, given that we are going towards normalcy and the wave of pandemic is less anticipated. IMGs will continue to use most of you 6 pathways for ECFMG in order to get the certified from ECFMG before applying to the match. So the 6 pathways, we have other videos on that. You should watch that. But if you get certified before applying for the match, that'll be a good thing. Like I said, as the travel bans have been lifted, telerotation will have less value, especially if you can travel. But there are types of telerotations, like we have also many telerotations. With the program director. So we offer telerotations with the Hackensack PD, or telerotations where you actually get to see the patients, where you use EMR, where you present to the attending, where you interact with the patient. Those telerotations will continue to do well. But if you are in the US or you can travel, try on-site rotations. The other big questions we got was, how will the interviews be held this season? So obviously we are all awaiting final recommendations, but many specialties have already decided that they will continue to be virtual. They do not want to change the course midway, although of course we have to wait till the end of the summer, but our sense is that the interviews will continue to be virtual this season as well. Programs have been very comfortable with the virtual interviews. They have gotten used to it. So they may continue to conduct virtually this season at least. And some of them may offer a hybrid option. So if you are in the US, maybe they will do an on-site. But for all practical purposes, I think you can all be going with the assumption that the interviews will be virtual this season as well. And that'll give you some more flexibility. Obviously, travel expenses are less, but then there is no physical interaction with the program. So how you interact on the interview day, how do you do outreach, things like that absolutely become important. How do you prepare for the virtual interviews obviously become very important. And we have classes on all of that if you're a Sarthi student. So don't worry about it. But just be aware that this season also we expect virtual interviews. The other implication of these virtual interviews, lack of physical interaction with the program, is applicants with complete applications, step 1, step 2, CK, OET, certified, etc., will be preferred as compared to incomplete applications, unless of course you are high scorer. So 260s, maybe not certified, you will still have a good shot at it. The value of telerotation LORs is another question. So I got an LOR from a telerotation. Is that really beneficial? So it will depend. Like I said, the LOR, who you do it with, what kind of affiliation does the physician have, that all matters. The letterhead will matter, but they are still going to be very, very useful compared to a private clinic LOR or your home country LOR in most cases, unless of course you have COVID experience, extensive COVID experience. The other questions that we wanted to tackle were as follows. What happens if I apply only with telerotation and no in-person USCE? Very important question. If you can travel, you should absolutely try to do in-person rotation. A lot of our students are starting to travel. Inpatient experience is a great experience to have. However, if it's not in your hand, if you do not have the visa, embassies are not open, then of course, you can apply without on-site. And until last season, only with telerotations, we have had students match, so it can be done. Other questions, what are some of the common mistakes IMGs do during the rotations? The do's and don'ts from an instructor attending perspective. And we've had regular meetings with some of the program directors and attendings. So, that's what they say. Asking for LORs too late. So if you've done the rotations, ask for LOR earlier in the season. So June, July is a good time. But if you wait till August, September, it could run into issues because IRAS takes time. If you request the LOR closer to the deadline, now some of you will do rotations in September, which is fine. At least we can talk to the attendings. But if you've done rotation in April or June, say, and you're requesting in September, you may not get it uploaded on time, and that may create an issue. What about repeat applicant? How can they change or work on their game plan? So there are a couple of videos I'm going to share with you from our YouTube channel, which will help you prepare for matching in one season. So I'll do that in a minute. But for repeat applicants, obviously step 3 becomes important. If you've only applied with telerotations, try to get in-person experience. Research is another thing which we haven't spoken about. Research is becoming increasingly important, especially if you're able to do it with faculty who has credentialing at a hospital, at a residency program. Try to do research at this point, posters, presentations, conference abstracts, and manuscripts if you can get done. That'll be important. We also have research courses. The next batch starts in May, so you can get publications by September. So if that is something you are missing, then please try to do rotations. It will be try to do research. It will be very, very important. Research, step 3, especially for repeat applicants, and in-person experiences in affiliated clinics or inpatient hospitals. Inpatient is still not that prevalent because of COVID, but affiliated clinics, those letterheads count. So that's something you need to be aware of. You need to try to get recent USCE. This is the other question. Can I use older USCE, older LOR? So there is nothing wrong in using it, but if you want to improve your profile, they want to see more recent experiences. The recent LORs carry more value, and it's not just changing the date on the LOR. The experience has to be current. We just had a class today, if you're a Sarthi student, on recent LOR, how do you get strong LOR? So the recent the experience, the stronger the LOR tends to be. So use recent LORs, not just in the date, but in the experience also. Then other questions we got on Facebook, okay, how do I focus on things post-September? Post-September, we will talk about in a different video. But again, continue the rotations, continue the work. These are important. Everything you do till January of next year. So January 2023 will matter. Post-September, of course, start preparing for the interview. In fact, interview preparation should start in August or slightly before that. And if you are our student, we'll get you started very soon. Then some of the other questions we got about our services, how can we help in Match? So obviously, we have a lot of rotations. You can look at it. We are now collaborating with Hackensack, Palisades, on research, on rotations, on combo plans. So you get a 6-month plan, which includes 3 on-site rotations with them. You get a tele rotations, you get research with 2 publications. So a lot of things which we can help you with in terms of rotations, in terms of tele rotations. Obviously, we do our match plan. So you can look at our platinum, gold, bronze plan, whether it is the CV, it's the personal statement, it is the interview prep, it is the program list, everything we can help you with. So those are some of the questions that I wanted to add in terms of what we got from Facebook. So now let me just stop here. I've been talking for about 20 minutes, but I will tell you some of the other stuff, and I will go into the chat. But I did want to mention this video on how do you prepare for match in a season. So take a look at this video. This is from our YouTube channel. It'll give you step-by-step on how you prepare for the match in one season, things you need to do. But let me just go over the questions that I got in the chat. So one question is, can you talk about how to approach for externships? What are the requirements? Step 2 CK score, step 1 CK pass is enough. So it depends on the location. If you are applying directly to the universities, always look at their website. But if you are applying for this season, as long as you have taken step 1, a lot of our locations are okay. They will be able to get you the rotations. Obviously, if you have taken step 2 CK, that helps, but that is not a requirement. Step 1 pass is enough. Next question, is research LOR at a university better than externship LOR or at a clinic? Excellent question. I think you need both. You can get as many LORs as possible, right? You can get 15 LORs. You should have, if research LOR, why not have it? But remember, outcomes from research are also important. If you just have done 5 months of research at a university, but you have no outcomes to show for it, kind of the quality is compromised. But still, I would think a research LOR is a good LOR. However, you cannot have 4 research LOR. So when you're asking, is research LOR better than a externship, I would say get 3 externship LORs and a research LOR. Don't go for private clinic LORs. They are just not helpful. At least get a affiliated clinic so that the letterhead is a hospital letterhead. And you can look up our website for that. Passing score has been increased of CK, like I mentioned, from 209 to 214. Does it impact those who have low scores in CK? Obviously, lower scores are going to be detrimental, but there are other aspects of your profile that you can work on, like research, maybe step 3 to improve it. Step 3 versus observership at a university, which will make an application stronger. Provided one has LOR from the US. It's a tricky one. It depends on which university, how much observership. If you have 1 month at a university observership, I would say go for it. But step 3 depends on the profile, would be very, very useful for you. So I'll have to see what this is, but step 3 will definitely help. And why do one over the other? You could do both. Can we apply to the program if program specifically mentions YOG less than 5 years? YOG is a soft filter. You can overcome it, but in general, if the program is very strict, then they may not offer you an interview unless you know them well. Okay, so keep that in mind. And I see questions on research. So let me ping you the chat, and I will put it in the chat. So the research courses are right here. So look at that. I will move on to the other questions as I'm getting them. Do observerships hold value? Depends. So a university 1 month observership will have a lot of value, but in general, you want hands-on experiences, elective externship. So while observership are not completely zero, avoid a lot of these observerships. What would be the last day to take step 2 CK? I am assuming you are applying this season. So take early August, and then you can apply for certification and be ready by September 15th. Can we apply and then add step 2 CK after September 15? That will be a very hard thing to do. If you take CK after September 15, your application is not considered complete. It will be very hard for you to get the interviews. You cannot make changes in your ERAS CV after September 15, so you cannot add publications after September 15. LORs you can upload. Will programs download the LORs after September 15? Hard to say. But if you are doing rotations with us, we'll make sure your LORs get done on time. If someone who hasn't given their step 1 yet, what is the best timeline to follow, and when should we preferably join Sarthi? If you have not done step 1 yet, I think it'll be hard for you to apply for this season. you should consider, unless you have already done CK or you're very prolific. When should you preferably join Sarthi? So typically we start enrollment in January for the subsequent match. So now enrollment is open. If you're applying for this season, you can join after step 1. If you're applying for next season, you can try joining us in December this year or early January. Okay, what next? I want to carry out rotations in the US. Any idea of the visa which we are given right now? Most rotations you will get B1, B2, but we are not attorneys. Check with your consulate. I think it is B1, B2. Can we use all 3 LORs from one state? Is it okay if we are not hands-on? So again, if you don't have hands-on experiences, that is a very weak application. There are even telerotations that can give you substantial exposure to patient care, patient management. Don't use, if there are all 3 observerships, you will have a very, very light application. Can we use LORs all from one state? Not recommended, because you will be applying to multiple states, especially New York, New Jersey, Ohio, Pennsylvania, Michigan, and Illinois, those kind of states where you have a lot of IMGs. Try to get diversity in experiences. Can I do research in US while I'm doing apprenticeship in my home country? The answer is yes. A lot of research that we have is also remote, so you can definitely do it. And I'm also gonna text you or chat, put it in chat, our YouTube channel. Like I said, there are a lot of there are a lot of videos that will come in handy, especially the one that I just mentioned, how to plan the next 12 months for you to match. For those of you who are interested, here is the URL for our website as well. Also Instagram, usmle Sarthi. You should try to follow us, and we'll get you more information. Okay, so let me keep going on the questions that you have. Would LOR from own medical college, say from Dean of College, matter? It depends how recent your graduate are. Were you in top 1%, gold medalist? Otherwise, it doesn't matter. Okay, what else? Can we get LOR from doctors not from the US? We do not recommend it. Is it okay to upload one IM LOR if I'm applying to pediatrics? Not recommended, especially if the IM LOR says you will be a great cardiologist or IM or something like that, which is not pediatrics. Can we take step 3 after application is submitted in September? And the answer is yes, but we prefer as soon as possible. What is the approximate cost of joining Sarthi after writing step exam so that we can obtain help in USC and further processes? So the good question. We have a lot of things to offer. One is the rotations. Now rotations are separate. You pay the physicians directly. So rotation cost is separate. Then there is a research cost. Rotations can vary from 1,000 to 2,000, 2,500, depending on the location you pick. Research, if you want to do with us, is $900 for 2 publications. And then there are match plans. So platinum, gold, silver, where we take care of all your PS, CV, mock interviews, interview prep. Again, it varies from 1,300 for bronze, I think, 2,700 for platinum. So it depends on what services you pick from Sarthi. To apply in IM, research in internal medicine matters, same as scores. Well, scores are obviously most important, but if you have lower scores, let's say you don't have 260s, then will research matter? Yes, absolutely will matter. Let's say you are an older graduate, will research matter? Yes. Let's say you have gaps, will research matter? Yes, even if you have high score. 240 plus in both steps is good to match in IM. It is a good score. Is it enough to match? It depends on your interviewing skill. It depends on other parts of the profile. Like I said, research is becoming important. USC is becoming important. It always was important. On-site USC, the letterheads are important. So scores are a good start, but that is not the only criteria to match. Is remote research useful? Yes, if you can show that you are dedicated. Yes, if you can show that you got publications, that you worked in a team, and maybe even the faculty can give you LOR. So our faculty in remote research can also give you research LORs. Research from own medical college, will it matter? I doubt it. Like I said, you have to be a gold medalist or very, very recent graduate with high scores. Deadline for clearing OET. I think you should look at the ECFMG certification deadline as long, because you have to do step 1, CK, OET, then apply for certification. Work backwards from September 15th, if that is what you're trying to do. Is it possible for old graduates to get hands-on externships? Yes, it is absolutely possible. Our physicians do offer it. It is not true that they are only offered to medical students. Now, some universities do offer it only to the medical students, but most of the affiliated clinics and even some of our inpatient rotations, and I'll put the link here, they offer externship. It should not be a problem to get hands-on experiences, even if you are a graduate. I did observerships in Canada. Would that be recognized as an experience? It is definitely an experience, but it is not US clinical experience. So try to get US clinical experience. I have Canadian LOR in family medicine. Can I use it with US LOR? You can definitely use one Canadian LOR. That is okay, but not all 4. Does having cases and poster presentation and Indian medical meets helps us? It definitely helps. It's not zero, but it does not compare with US conferences, the ASCO conference, the heart conference, GI conferences. So poster presentation and case reports and abstracts here in conferences are much more valuable. What can we do as graduate to cover the gap? That's a very important question. Do a lot of work in the home country, do research in the US or remote research and USCE. How to apply for clinical rotations to the universities. We actually have a YouTube video on the how to apply directly. So if you go to our YouTube channel, you can see that each one of them has a different process, different forms. You can use that. Latest date to upload the LOR, try everything by 10th September. Is medical college dean's letter compulsory for Indian IMGs? It is not compulsory. In fact, it is called MSPE. Dean's letter is now called MSPE. Try to get it if you can. Otherwise, ECFMG has a workaround for you guys. Do you recommend to go to US for MPH program and do research and clinical rotations with help of usmle Sarthi? It depends on your year of graduation. If you are a recent graduate and high scores, focus on research and clinical rotations. Don't need to do MPH. If you are a very old graduate, you've not been able to match, then probably figure out MPH and other things. I'm an old graduate. Will Canadian observership be recognized as experience? Like I said, definitely experience, but don't use the LORs, or at least not more than one. What do you advise for people who have failed attempt in step 1, below average score for step 2, applying for IM? Should we skip this year's math season? I don't know why this will help you. You are already an attempt in step 1, below average CK. Skipping in season is just going to add another year to your YOG. You can start USC now. In June, you still have 3 or 4 months. There is no point in delaying application because things are not going to change next year for you because you've taken the exam. How much having 1 month hands-on surgery US experience affect pediatric application? Is it necessary to have pediatric USCE? The answer is yes, absolutely. If you're applying to pediatrics, have pediatrics USCE. 1 month surgery experience, if you did it as an elective, is okay. Then have the other 3 as pediatrics. I am a medical student from Iran. Can I get visa to do research in person in states before my graduation? You cannot get a visa to do full-time research if you are a student. For an older graduate, the only option would be to do an observership. No, that is not correct. You can do full-time research job. You can do full-time USCE hands-on externship. You can look up our website. For pathology applications, do you recommend telerotations for getting LORs? Pathology is different. Even home country experiences matter. You can do home country work experience. You can do telerotations. You can try to do rotations on site here in labs as well. How many publications you have? We have spoken to a lot of program directors, and if you were in this webinar with the Hackensack director, quality of publications matter. Where you end up publishing, it matters. The quantity does not matter that much, but if you're looking for a number, 2 PubMed index journal publications should be enough. But even in PubMed index journal, the quality of journal matters. For example, Curious would be a very low impact factor. A lot of you will end up publishing in Curious. You should be aware that is one of the lowest. How difficult to match in family medicine if we are an older graduate but green card holder? It is not difficult. It is family medicine looks for specific skills. Every year we have even visa seeking applicants match in family medicine. They look for a lot of community work. There are a lot of giving back to the community, of course, volunteering, women's health, OBGYN, pediatrics, preventive care kind of experience. What year of graduation is considered an old IMG? More than 5 years is considered old. Is on-site rotation same as observership? I think what you're asking is what is the difference between observership and externship. On-site can be observership, but you want to go for hands-on where you are able to interact with the patient, use EMR, coordinate with the other team members, etc. Does having case and poster presentation at Indian Medical Meet help us? I already answered that, I think. Does regular application close on 30th September? It doesn't really close. It opens on 1st September, but you should try to apply on 15th September if the season goes as per plan without COVID. Excuse me. Research LOR more valuable than observership LOR? I think I answered it. Both of them are important, but yes, if you have only one LOR left, then rather than an observership, put research if you were able to publish. How much time before application should USCE be completed? You can do USCE even after application, you should. But if you're looking for LORs, at least start, if you're starting with Sarthi rotation, start on 1st September so that by 15th we can get you LOR uploaded. How to apply for externships? You can apply a lot of places, like I said, but you can apply through us also. And you can, I'm giving you the website, you can look it up. All right, what else? A lot of questions. Does 1 year fellowship in internal medicine from Apollo increases our chances of matching? I do not know what 1 year fellowship from Apollo is. It is fellowships are typically 2 years, 3 years. I don't know, but I'm assuming it will help. At least you have 1 year of PG experience. Is 5 year considered old graduate? Possibly, yes. You are on the fence. Is applying to both internal medicine and pediatrics a red flag? I won't say it's a red flag, it is very difficult to justify. You will need both specific LOR, specific experiences, hard to do it. YOG is from the date we got the degree, or is it from the last day of MBBS curriculum? It is from the date you got the degree, the degree date. How much having 2 years home country residency experience add to the application? Absolutely golden, absolutely will help you. It does not overcome the need for USC. That was the second part of the question. Does it overcome the need for USC? No, but it adds to your application quite a bit. Do we need to clear step 1 before going for Sarthi rotations? No, we have understanding and contracts with our physicians. They will give you rotations without step 1. If you are going for internship, those will be counted as an elective. How big or small of an advantage to be a US citizen? US citizen or green card on the same page, even H4 EAD, same page. You will get more programs to apply to in all specialties. That is one advantage. Questions to ask the PD at the end of an interview. This is too early. We are just starting the season. We have, although on the YouTube, you will see a lot of questions you can ask the PD at the end of the interview, but we'll come to that in other webinars. How does 5-year YOG versus over 10-year YOG differ? A lot. 10-year YOG can be a flag unless you have had excellent experiences. Now we've had students match with 15-year YOG. I had a student who had 25-year-old YOG match in OBGYN. So it's not that YOG cannot be overcome, needs a lot of effort. Difference between B1, B2 and H1 visa during match season and application, there is no difference. B1, B2 is a visitor visa. H1, you will need to start the residency. So that basically means you need a visa to start residency. Does a non-US IMG have a strong chance at OBGYN? Is it very competitive? Both. It is very competitive. It is not easy to match. Even with a US IMG in OBGYN, high scores, US research, relevant experience, maybe home country residency. I'm an old graduate, done residency in OBGYN, have gaps. Will that affect the application? Yes, it will. You really need US research, as I mentioned, and possibly a strong home country experience in OBGYN, but even then OBGYN is not easy. I have 1 research and 4 clerkship LORs. Which of the 4 LORs should I submit? You can submit, you can mix and match. So I don't know the quality, but it doesn't mean that all 5 or all set of 4 have to be submitted. Ideally, 3 and 1 should do it. 3 clerkships, 1 research. Please discuss about supplemental IRAs for IM. We will. We had a video for last year. As soon as the IRAs application opens for this year, we will discuss it. We don't know if supplemental is going to continue this year, so we will discuss it. Does any of your students from India got visa, have done rotations? Oh yeah, absolutely. They did rotations through COVID. They got visa also. During COVID, it was the NIE exemption, national interest exemption. Many of the physicians do offer visa invitation letters, but in the end, visa is determined by the consulate. Does outpatient IM experience or USC help with FM application? The answer is yes. If it is primary care, why not? It will help. Can we have research that is not published in the CV? The problem is you cannot mention it in the RAS CV. Then you have to just mention I'm working on this research project. It can be done, but doesn't have that much value. If we have rotation through Sarthi in the month of September, can we get an LOR before the deadline? The answer is yes, but try to get it starting 1st September. We will work with the physicians to get you the LORs on time. Does home country PG, which I assume means home country residency, count? The answer is yes, absolutely a great experience. Does joining any clinic be equivalent, or some hospitals are better like Apollo? If you're talking Indian experience, hospitals are much better than clinics. I am a 6-year-old YOG, do not have gaps in medicine and work in my home country. Will I be considered an old graduate? You're still considered an old graduate, but maybe your work experience has enough quality to help you match with USC, of course. Is it a good idea to apply FM as a backup for IM since I have a GC? Programs can see through if you have FM or any backup. So don't use the word backup. You need relevant LORs and experiences. How many IM programs should I apply to as an IMG? Generally 150 to 200 is what people apply to in IM. How is YOG calculated? The date on your degree and say 2022 September. So just subtract that. H4 EAD is similar in the sense to green card, etc. You can apply to more programs, so it will help you. Do programs consider EAD pending GC equally valuable at GC as GC? Most will do, but it depends on where you match. Any experience after September 15th is of no use. This is a biggest myth, that experience after September 15th does not matter. Every experience till the rank order list deadline, which is March, will matter. Do not think that the season will end on September 15th. Every experience will matter. Teaching medical graduates in home country count as explaining gaps. If you were doing it full time, yes, it is not a gap. But if you were just randomly doing it 1 or 2 hours, it is definitely a gap. In a RAS application, should we name telerotation experience as an observership? It depends on what type of tele you did. If it was you were handling 15 patients a day using EMR, etc., then it's not an observership. And some of our rotations do get you patient interaction. Last date to take step 3, there is no last date. If you are looking for visa, H1b, then try early Jan, late December. Otherwise, as soon as possible if you're looking for increasing your interview count. Do programs consider H4 EAD? I have already answered that. I've already answered how useful it is to have a US citizenship. Attempts in step 1, CS pass, YOG 2014, have some USC, pediatrics, university and private clinic, hoping to complete steps before April 2023. Should I try to get rotations before July, apply in 23, or take another year to do research? You're already an old YOG, you have attempts. Clinical experiences will definitely matter. Without clinical, will be very hard to just match on the basis of research. I live in a non-IMG friendly state. Is it better to have USC and research in that state, or should I target IMG friendly state? Definitely for USC, target IMG friendly states. Research if you are doing in a university. So let's say you are in Seattle, you are doing it at University of Washington, UW. Research you can do, but USC definitely friendly states. What kind of PubMed publications will be in the research offer from USMLE Saathi? So it depends on the topic, it depends on the specialty, but it is all PubMed index journal, and we are doing it with the Hackensack Palisades faculty. So it is not, some random faculty. It will all be high quality journals in PubMed indexed. Old IMG with ophtha residency in home country. What about chances of match in ophtha? We have a video. One of our students did match in ophthalmology. Check that video out. But if you are an old YOG without US research, it will be very hard. So the student who matched in Optha with us this season had 2 years of US research and I think she was from AIMS, so, and with good scores. How many LORs we have to upload to IRAS? You can upload as many as you want, then you can select which 4 to use. MPH in home country, will it help? No, MPH in home country is not the degree that will help you. Here, MPH in the US will help you. Home country, post-graduation or residency does help. I'm still in a residency program, ACGME certified in Gulf area. Should I complete it and go for a fellowship afterwards? Should I go directly to the residency? It depends. If it's an ACGME certified residency, you could probably get into geriatrics or nephrology fellowship, or if you're in pediatrics, then neonatology. Otherwise, getting directly into residency here is a better option than fellowship. Average medical school GPA, how does it impact my match process? More than the GPA, it is going to be your USMLE scores and experience and research. How many weeks is average USC? A typical experience is 4 weeks. So if you have more, or if you're working full time, that we can discuss. But if you do 1 week USC, 2 weeks, that doesn't really help you, unless it is a program audition, pre-residency audition directly at a program. How many programs to apply in FM? At least 125. Pediatrics, less number of programs, but definitely 100. Are there more programs in FM compared to IM, accepting old YOG, low scores, attempts, and sponsor visa? I don't know the number, but number of programs in FM versus IM is just one criteria. IM is more competitive in terms of scores, research, and all that. I got my degree in 2015. So what is my YOG? Your YOG is 7. Working in cardiology in home country would be considered okay. Applying to IM, absolutely, yes. How to justify gap years? There is no clinical or research experience. I don't know if there is a justification of gap years. We're talking personal statement and interview, and we can, when we have different sessions, we'll talk about those things, but there is no justification. You may be doing some volunteer works or something like that. MS in hometown will help in family medicine matching. There's no such thing as it won't help, but it won't add too much value. Master MS in hometown, I don't know what you did in that MS. Foreign medical student can only obtain 4-week clerkship in the US. I don't know who told you this. That is not accurate. I've had students do 3 months, 4 months of electives here. So no, that is not correct. You can do as many months as your college permits. Can we apply to H1b programs? If we are planning step 3 after September, you can definitely apply. H1 programs are very few in number, so you will definitely want to apply to J programs also. If I start my application after taking step 2 and July, will I have enough time? Yeah, you will have enough time, although you'll have to rush. Process of applying to IRAS LOR or LORs, that go to the website. They have clearly identified the process. I have worked as a research assistant, outpatient clinic, have helped coordinating multiple research studies. Only PI's name was under publication. So that means your name was not there. You can mention it as an experience, but your name was not there. So that doesn't count as your publication. If you take our research course, you will be added as a co-author, yes. Advantage of doing an MPH is very high. This is a question, what is the advantage of MPH? Definitely in FM. Even otherwise in IM, it can help. It shows you that you are trying to get in the system, but it also means that you get cut off from the clinical side. So you have to balance it and do clinical rotations and research along with. What do FM programs look for in the application? We cover this in our classes, but at a high level: primary care, preventive care, a lot of volunteering, women's health, OBGYN kind of experiences, commitment to the specialty. If I have all 6 LORs from GI, will it be a red flag for IM? No, absolutely not. GI is an IM subspecialty, so you should be fine. But if you have, clinical experiences elsewhere, you can try adding that. Does failing a 4th-year subject in MBBS affect match chances? It depends on other profile. In general, it should not. 2018 graduate, step 1 to 10, aiming for pediatrics. What to do to improve chances? Very high CK scores, possibly step 3, research, and more importantly, 6 months or more of your PEDS USCE will help. And if you're in your home country, work in pediatrics. How many programs to apply for neurology? Neurology is becoming competitive, at least 75 categorical, and then you will have prelim programs. What are old IMG friendly specialties? Hard to say. IM is there, pediatrics is there, neurology is there now. FM can also take old graduate depending on what your experience is. Okay. Below average scores in CK, good score in step 1. Should I go for IM? It depends on other parts of your experiences. Will step 3 compensate for low CK score? Yes, absolutely. How long is Sarthi's research program? 2 months, 1.5 months, between 1.5 and 2 months. Next batch starts in May. We will get the publications out by September. ENT as an IMG friendly specialty. Is it IMG friendly? Absolutely not. Can you match? Yes, you can match. It's a long road, a lot of research, very high scores, and US research. How early do I approach Sarthi to look into my personal statement? So we have all the plans, bronze, gold, platinum. They have, this PS and CV. We have our physicians and journalists all look at it. They will give you guidance. I'm sorry, been talking for one hour now. So you can start now. We will be starting that soon. Ortho, derm, all these specialties are hard. I'm looking at the questions. These are very hard specialties. I won't say the chances are nil, but you absolutely have to nail the USMLEs. You have to have at least 2 years of US research. Without that, these specialties are very hard to get. Masters in genetics with research done for master's thesis, will it count? Well, why not? Yes, it'll count. Matching in internal medicine. Yeah, it depends on how you can link it to your IM experience. Is volunteer work better than doing hospital work? No, do hospital work. That is better to cover your gaps. Can you advise if candidates have chances to get residency post? So yes, there are off-cycle positions. Many of our students have matched in post-cycle positions. It just depends what opens up. There's no hard and fast rules. When is the best time to approach Sarthi for USCE or research? The time is now. It depends on your availability, what you have going, because now between now and December is all about the next season. It's April mid. Now you should be doing all these things. I've just started preparing for step 1. Okay, so if you've just started preparing for step 1, my guide would be finish step 1, and then we'll talk about research and rotations with us. Okay. So we are coming towards the end of the season. I'll take maybe one or two more questions, and then we'll go from there. I'm a silver plan Sarthi student, don't have access to the classes. Silver plan gets access to only interview prep. So if you enroll in the silver plan, you will have access to the interview preparation classes. For the other classes, you will have to join, or upgrade to some of the other plans. Let me look at other classes. Is OET failed? Does it count? Unfortunately, yes. Programs. Well, let me see. Programs don't get to see your OET pass fail. I doubt it. If they don't get to see it, it doesn't matter. But check with ECFMG. I thought till last year they were not able to see OET pass fail, but they were able to see CS pass fail. So if they see it, then it counts. Okay. Again, this question is coming up. I got my degree in 2015. What is my YOG? Date on the degree and 2022. So if date of the degree is 2020, YOG is 2. Date of the degree is 19, YOG is 3 because you are in 2022. Date of the degree is 15, it is 7. All right, thank you very much. We are coming to an end. I want to thank all of you for joining the session. Hopefully it was useful. We will have other panelists join us in the coming months. Do subscribe to the YouTube channel. We have all the videos. In fact, one of the latest videos you should watch that just came up on the website was a pediatrics match. Student had matched in pediatrics. So you should watch it, just uploaded today. Plus, of course, Instagram, and we will continue to do these sessions to help all of you. Good luck to all of you. If you have questions about our services, send us an email or you can tag us on any social media. Thank you and have a good weekend.